Hey you, it's me, MK, welcoming you to my little corner in the Shadow Realm. And new year, new me. Quick announcement, in case you haven't read my latest community post, I'm rebranding and changing my username to Lovely Lively V to match most of my other socials because M-Kart Racing Queen was the username I picked when I was 13. I'll still be known as MK, but when I'm out of the shadows, you can also call me V since the first username is named after me and the new username is named after my human counterpart. Anyway, on to the subject at hand, a theme that made itself prominent in 2018 and 2019. In the span of a year, 5 well-known animated films feature the message of growing up and letting go. These movies are Ralph Breaks the Internet, The Lego Movie 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3, Toy Story 4, and Frozen 2. Each of them tackled the subject differently, and generally they did a good job. Frozen 2 showed that although Elsa's isolation from the first movie was a dangerous extreme, the opposite extreme in Anna's clinginess and wanting to live Elsa's life was just as dangerous because she sacrificed her bonds with everyone else she cared about in her pursuit to make sure she and Elsa were never separated again. Toy Story 4, despite being unnecessary as a full-length feature film, expanded even further on what it means to be a toy. And although Woody left the gang, he still stayed true to his purpose by giving other toys the chance to be played with the same way he was. And The Lego Movie 2 is a severe deconstruction when it's revealed that Lucy pressuring Emmett to grow up is actually her being reminded of her origins by his cheerful attitude and projecting how much she hated her old self onto him, not realizing she was the problem until it was too late.
I like you the way you were.
Sweet, innocent, kind.
The real Lucy would never say that.
But those will not be the focus of this video, which you already figured out by looking at the title. Instead, I want to analyze how the concept works by examining the golden standard and the excruciating dumpster fire. How did Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 break itself, while How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World, effectively accomplished the same goal? Let's survive the World Wide Web of dragons and find out. Starting with Ralph Breaks the Internet, it is the sequel to my former favorite movie of all time, Wreck-It Ralph. In that movie, the titular video game bad guy wants his coworkers to stop mistreating him. His journey in winning a hero's medal leads to him meeting Vanellope von Schweetz, a glitch from Sugar Rush who wants to achieve the same goal. They work together to escape their cycles of abuse and realize their friendship is far more important than any hero's recognition. Ralph Breaks the Internet takes place 6 years later. After the first movie led to Vanellope reclaiming her position of power and unlocking the brainwashed Sugar Rush citizens' memories, Vanellope wants more out of life while Ralph is perfectly content with the way things are. Knowing Vanellope's desires for something new, he builds a secret racetrack for her to race on, but Sugar Rush's steering wheel breaks in the process. It's up to her and Ralph to travel to the internet and get a new one before it's game over forever. But Vanellope believes she needs to steer her life in a different direction. There are many reasons the growing up and letting go message doesn't work in Ralph Breaks the Internet. The main reason that sticks out to most people is how it breaks the world building and logic that the first film ran on. Even though the Nicelanders treated him awfully, Ralph couldn't leave his game or else they'd all be homeless. And Turbo was villainized for abandoning his game and trying to take over another if it meant he would remain popular and beloved by players. But when Vanellope wants to move to Slaughter Race after fixing Sugar Rush, she's praised for it. Why? Because she's bored and wants to follow the lifelong dream she's only known for 5 minutes.
You know, after you go home and your life gets back to normal, you're always welcome here.
But that's the thing, I want this to be my normal. I want this to be my life. Can't go home now. I just can't.
And this is coming from a studio that chastised marrying a man you just met. I guess abandoning all your friends and family is okay as long as it doesn't involve a man. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Aside from Ralph, not a single time is Vanellope called out. When she pours her heart out to Shank, Shank immediately supports her and thinks the point of moving the Slaughter Race is for both of them to accept that best friends don't have the same dreams.
There's no law saying best friends have to have the same dreams. You know?
Whoa. Yeah. You are a very wise person, Shank. And a good friend, too.
But Shank is a leader, just like Vanellope. Shouldn't she tell her to put her own responsibilities first? In the case of arcade logic, your dreams shouldn't be followed if it means putting many people's lives in jeopardy. Ralph at least had a good reason if he wanted to leave Fix-It Felix Jr. forever. He's already homeless in his own game, so it'd give the Nicelanders a taste of their medicine. But Vanellope has no excuse since the other racers were no longer brainwashed into bullying her. Vanellope is risking the lives of her people again because Mr. Litwack mentioned that Sugar Rush is not making much money anymore, which was why he wasn't willing to pay for another steering wheel.
How much? That's more than this game makes in a year.
And she was there when he said this! Vanellope being the star racer of the game meant that she was practically life support, and if she didn't go back, everyone would be homeless again. Not to mention she's their leader anyway, so it only makes her look worse for immediately being prepared to ditch them all. That takes priority. Making it all 10 times worse is Vanellope's core flaw in Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, stop it!
Vanellope doesn't care about the consequences of her actions as long as something good happens to her. She gets Sugar Rush unplugged, never helps Ralph in the viral videos he's making to get the money to buy the steering wheel and save her home, and when she has that moment of realization that slaughter races are destiny, she's already made up her mind and won't let anything stop her, including when she worries about what Ralph will say. Everyone loves to point out that Ralph is clingy, dumb, and creepily overprotective in this movie, but at least he has everyone's best interests at heart. The insecurity virus was also a mistake, albeit a stupid one, but the point is that out of the two of them, Vanellope is a master manipulator. She constantly enforces this "I'm right, you're wrong" mentality onto Ralph, even though she supposedly cares about him more than her own people. And no matter how many people she hurts, whether it be Ralph or the many citizens of Sugar Rush, she never gets punished for any of it. Ralph tries to call her out, but he's meant to be seen in the wrong because of his own mistake.
You're not exactly innocent here. You were gonna ditch everybody and abandon Sugar Rush.
Why are you bullying me? I'm right.
All she does is deflect his criticism back onto him.
I wouldn't have done anything if I hadn't heard you tell Shank that you wanted to live in Slaughter Race forever.
So you were spying on me?
Or twists what he's trying to say before she cuts him out of her life to get him to drop his argument.
I'm one of 16 racers. They'd never miss me. Why would I ever spend another second with you after what you did?
No!
Furthermore, she never once appears to feel bad before the Ralph virus clones give chase, and when she's meant to realize her mistake and redeem herself, never gets a chance to actually prove herself when push comes to shove.
Put him down, and I'll go with you, and we'll be best friends forever. Just me and you. That's what you want, right?
Well, that's not what I want!
Show, don't tell. Just because she's a child doesn't mean the most important rule of cinema will make an exception. Vanellope is so self-absorbed that not once does it ever occur to her that she is the problem until it's spelt out to her. Actually, her first instinct when she encounters the Ralph viruses is to pin it on Ralph.
What did you do? Can't believe he did this.
Who killed Hannibal?
When she finally realizes how awful she's been treating Ralph, she continues to push the "I'm right, you're wrong" mentality onto him.
I don't blame you for not wanting to be my friend anymore.
I never said I didn't want to be your friend. I said you were acting like a bad friend. I never said I didn't want to be your friend. Why would I ever spend another second with you? I said you were acting like a bad friend.
Would it be wrong to punch a child?
Even if there's some truth to what she's saying, she should have just sucked it up and apologized right away because that's what Ralph has always done for her. Otherwise, it's still all give and no take. At this point, Ralph and Vanellope are toxic, and I'm not rooting for their friendship because I'm apparently the only person who cares about Ralph's happiness. By the end of the movie, Vanellope gets everything handed to her on a silver plate, never apologizes aside from breaking Ralph's medal, and never returns to the arcade to say goodbye, which means she really did abandon her own subjects. It's so painful to see Ralph be constantly punished and have his good deeds overshadowed by his insecurities, while Vanellope, who has done nothing but hurt all the people she cares about to avoid her accountability, isn't presented as the one who needs to change. With broken world building and a glorified, unsympathetic protagonist, this is why Ralph Breaks the Internet fails the hardest at delivering the growing up and letting go message. Wreck-It Ralph 2 may have been nothing short of hot garbage, but deep down, the method in delivering the growing up and letting go message could have worked. They just so happened to execute it in the worst way possible. A few months after its release, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World came out. Now this is Ralph Breaks the Internet done right. The less restrained world building and the way the characters were executed allowed the hidden world to work and succeed in every area Ralph Breaks the Internet failed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The Hidden World is the third film in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, which started when young Viking Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III captured a rare and deadly night fairy dragon, but failed to kill him. He instead befriended him, naming him Toothless for his retractable teeth, and convinced the other Vikings to make peace with the dragons instead of slaughter them. There's a reason this trilogy is highly regarded as one of DreamWorks' best franchise and all-time best movies. The bond between Toothless and Hiccup is great, as well as Hiccup's dynamic with his father, Chief Stoik the Vast. Even Hiccup's romance with Astrid, which was admittedly rather rocky in the first movie, proved its ability to mature into something truly beautiful across each film. Cut to many years later, as Hiccup is now an adult and the chief of Berk. He has spent 10 years with Toothless, but that bond is put in jeopardy by two things: an overpopulation of dragons in Berk, and Grimmel the Grizzly, a dragon hunter who intends to carry out the dragon genocide. He is what Hiccup could have been if he brought himself to kill Toothless, and the main reason Night Furies are so endangered. He burns down the place, so everyone leaves to find the Hidden World, a safe haven for dragons, while a mysterious Light Fury makes Hiccup and Toothless question what the future holds for them. This works because of the way the conflict and the characters within the conflict are presented. Each of the three's roles can be directly linked to the three in Ralph Breaks the Internet. Hiccup is Ralph, Toothless is Vanellope, and the Light Fury is Shank. While on their quest to find the Hidden World, Hiccup wants things to go back to normal. Toothless initially agrees, but upon meeting and trying to mate with the Light Fury, he questions if that's really what needs to happen as she leads him to his destiny. The Light Fury causes problems for Toothless because she was abused by pretty much every human she knew, so she did not trust Hiccup. She even tried to kill him when she saw him riding Toothless, who obviously chose Hiccup over her no matter how into her he clearly was. And Hiccup is surprisingly understanding, holding no ill will or jealousy towards the Light Fury. So what stops the Light Fury's hatred towards humans from becoming a deal-breaker for Toothless is the fact that Hiccup approves of the match. He easily could have tried to sabotage their budding relationship, but he didn't. He instead put Toothless's happiness over his own and helped him win her favor. Although the mating dance wasn't exactly as successful as they hoped, he fixed his tail so he could fly after her without needing a rider. Hiccup knew he was a setback in the mating process, so he let Toothless have the independence he needed to pursue the Light Fury. And he and Astrid don't go after Toothless until he's gone for quite a while. They discover Toothless was led to the Hidden World, and the other dragons see him and the Light Fury as royalty, the Alphas. Compared to Vanellope, Toothless spent a longer amount of time in this new place, so it's more believable than if he decided to stay there after a grand total of 5 minutes. Unfortunately, the plan to bring Berk to the Hidden World falls apart once the other dragons spot Hiccup and Astrid. They attack on sight, so the humans would not be able to follow their beloved dragons into the Hidden World. This not only establishes a good reason why the humans and dragons have to separate should they go to the Hidden World, but this also provides a test of character for Toothless and the Light Fury. Do they stay in the Hidden World and watch as Hiccup and Astrid try to escape, or do they help them?
Dumb humans.
Wait. Those are my dumb
humans.
Toothless swoops in to save them, bringing them back to Berk safe and sound. He passes this test with flying colors, remaining loyal to Hiccup above all else. But even better is what the Light Fury does. This gesture allows her to see how much Toothless and Hiccup care for each other, so she follows them to Berk and is willing to stay if it makes her mate happy. But Grimmel attacks. Light Fury has another great moment when she goes back to save Hiccup after he's willing to sacrifice himself for Toothless, and even though Grimmel dies, the potential danger from others like him make it clear that Hiccup and Toothless must separate. Neither one wants to do it, but they know it's the only way to keep the dragons safe until the rest of the world is ready to coexist with them peacefully. And instead of just Toothless, the rest of Berk releases their dragons to follow him and the Light Fury to the Hidden World, so there's not a sense of unfairness or harm to anyone else. Notice that neither Toothless nor Hiccup go out of their way to hurt each other this entire journey, so you really feel the emotional impact when they let each other go. That healthiness they maintain within their bond makes it even sweeter when Hiccup and Astrid take their kids to meet him in the Nightlights some years later. Whereas Vanellope and Ralph's phone call at the end of Ralph Breaks the Internet made me feel nothing. At their core, these two movies have the same story, but How to Train Your Dragon 3 was careful not to distort the message into something that could harm its target audience. It made sense why Hiccup and Toothless needed to separate, no matter how heartbreaking it was, and it showed how a true friendship can still last no matter how far apart you may be. It's bittersweet, but that's how life is, and that's ultimately something we can learn from the best and the worst of these movies. Not everyone can follow the same path, but even when you have to grow up and let your dearest friends go, that doesn't mean you're out of each other's lives forever. Most importantly, keep contact with the friends who would do anything for you, the same way you would for them, because keeping the toxic influences in your life will only make you miserable. Trust me, it's better to be a Hiccup than a Ralph, and it's better to have a Toothless than a Vanellope. Well, that's all for now. What did you think about these growing up and letting go movies? Did you like Ralph Breaks the Internet or dislike How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World? Like, comment, subscribe, and hilariously enough, my next topic will be a trip down memory lane. See ya then!